martial arts action, this time on ChinnyVision. Ninja, a 1986 game by Mastertronic, put out on their Entertainment USA label. Maybe a bit confusing depending on which version you have, because some of the loading screens will have the mad Mastertronic added dimension logo on them, and indeed, if you get one of the later tapes, as I have here, because I bought new old stock, you actually have the post-1989 Mastertronic added dimension logo with the kind of style of cassettes Mastertronic were using at that time. And this tape feels like new that I'm holding here. Anyway, put that down. So it's basically an American game that Mastertronic were buying in at this time. Started off live on the Atari 8-bit, I believe, and you are a ninja, and you have to rescue, according to the instructions, the Princess Di. Well, I suppose it is 1986. Couldn't be Princess Fergie, I suppose. Was that 80? No, that was 86. Right, so off we go on the Atari 8-bit. The game instructions don't say how many idols you need. I think it's 6. But I know that because the internet told me. So I pick up these weapons here. There doesn't appear to be a limit on how many weapons you can pick up. There's no indication of what weapons you are holding either. And between every screen it would tell you which screen you're entering. And we are fighting this chap here who's, oh yeah, knocked him out with a couple of blows, no problem at all. This is an evil ninja. Evil ninjas are always a nude, or they look nude, and see, look, there's his nipples. And secondly, they're the hardest people to beat. And apologies if I'm a bit sniffy, I do have a cold at the moment. Right, so there's a karateka beat. Now look at that black, well, you missed it there, but a black square on the top. Now nowhere in the game's instructions does it tell you that's the portal to the next level up. Yeah, that took some finding out. Over to the Spectrum. It's a 48k game, and you'll have seen this on sale everywhere. It was a big budget game at the time. No music on the Specky. And some of the baddie names appear to have differences, so you literally just push up to get up there, and you go up to this level here, and that's how you get between the platforms. The instructions don't explain that. I was wandering around in a loop going, what's going on, what's going on? Yes, I'd never really played this game before. I'd bought it, but it never loaded for my Amstrad, so I took it back. So it's actually a revelation actually to own a copy and be able to play it. Careful when fighting above the portals, because press the wrong press of the key and you go flying upwards or downwards. The idols are, on most of these versions, placed randomly, which can mean sometimes there's like 5 on the bottom level. Oh, we float up there, approaching the window room, and as you go upwards in the mansion, there are more baddies. So you have to, there's only 1 per screen on the bottom level, 2 per screen on level 2. Over to the Amstrad CPC. Seen that font somewhere before, I don't know what it is. Someone's definitely flashing poo on the bottom of the screen there, but it is in fact an idol. Idols apparently on the Amstrad flash. And another nude ninja. That's gotta hurt, especially if you're nude. Approaching the hallway. Another flashing poo to collect. That's what, 3 on the bottom level now? So I've got 3 and I'm only on the bottom level. There's about, I'd estimate about 30 screens in the game, perhaps slightly less than that. And you have to get this right. There you go. Suddenly you float up. Into the rainbow room. The back of this game proclaims Ninja. It blasts the black belt off other martial art games. Over to the C64. What you've got to be careful of when using the weapons is they become available when they land to the baddies, so they can be thrown back at you. C64 version stops the music when you're facing a baddie. Not sure why, but it's quite nice when you defeat the baddie, the music starts up again, so you can kind of strut off. Idols do flash on the C64, but not as much as the Amstrad. You don't have to, as far as I'm aware, beat all the bad guys, but you do have to get all the idols, so you can pick your fights carefully, although you can't jump over the bad guys as far as I can see. You press fire and pull left or sometimes right on some of the versions, depending which way you're facing, to release the weapons that you've collected. Over to the PC, and apologies for the sound, it's running on my Amstrad PC 2086 with V30 processor and beeper. And the only way to get beeper sound is to put a microphone next to it. CGA only. A little bit of a bug going on with the energy levels on the bottom there. They just flicker. Over to the ST, and there's a really funky David Whittaker, and I think it is David Whittaker, soundtrack. I've asked that online, and people seem to say it is, but it really sounds like one of his as well. The graphics on the 16 bits are really nice, good use of colour. Nice detailed backgrounds as well. You get little detailed things going in the background on the Atari 8-bit and C64, but the ST and Amiga versions look lovely. And this was one of the games ported, or the Amiga version was ported to that Mastertronic arcade system along with 180. Over to the Amiga, loading a screen by Jez. And a bit of a lame title music on the Amiga. And you know what? I think the ST's got better music than the Amiga. The Amiga's got quite nice music, but the David Whittaker tune does edge it. And like the C64 version, the music stops when you've got a fight coming on and then starts again when it's finished. Reminds you a little bit of Saboteur. What with the ninja costume and skulking around and hitting people with weapons and so on. This is, of course, an American game by Sculptured Software, so they wouldn't have seen Saboteur necessarily. Idols on the 16 bits are vases. Pick one up there. Lovely backgrounds. But these title screens for in each screen really get on your nerves quickly. This is information that can be put in the status display along with how many weapons you have and so on. So we've gone up a level. And you know how I said there's different levels of baddies on the different... you get one baddie on level 1, 2 baddies on level 2, 3 levels and 3 baddies on level 3. I don't think that's always true. I think that's the maximum you get. Back to the Atari 8-bit, which what I think was the original version. There's every chance the C64 and Atari versions were developed together, to be honest, if it came from Sculpture Software. Other games of theirs include LA SWAT. Hard to believe that they produced this, which is fairly decent, and the abomination that is LA SWAT. We're on the Spectrum. Oh, we've got 4 baddies on this screen. And we have 4 idols. Sometimes there's a lot of baddies on the screen, the ninja will wait and then you face him last. So you'll beat up the thugs and then the ninja will be waiting there at the end. Unless you kick him like I did there, in which case he gets annoyed and comes after you. Nice colourful game on the Spectrum, although colour clash does get pretty bad if you cross over the wrong areas. But they've tried to minimise that by keeping you in one kind of zone. Got 5 idols now. I might complete this. Nothing down there. Big door. There's room in here something called Green Door, which I assume Shakin' Stevens is behind. Oh. It's not a bad game at all, this, really, when you think of some of the other games like Kia Temple by, was that Firebird? Out at the time, which were pretty terrible. We see the colour clash going over that red area is... yeah. Although the thing is, I haven't completed the game, but I think you could probably do it in 3 or 4 goes. Back on the Amstrad, and one of the things that annoys me at this version, you should be quite close. Oh, this game over. Got to be quite close to inflict blows sometimes. Back on the C64. It's just not quite as nice as that Atari version. It's a little bit more fluid on the Atari. Also, you can, when he walks, you can see it's fairly limited in terms of frames of animation. One of the things you can do is when you collect the idols, they give you energy, so you may choose to leave idols behind and then come and collect them later in order to get your energy boosted up. And also, if you get a lot of idols on the bottom levels of the game, that weights things against you because you won't get any energy boosts as you go up. And as I say, they are randomly placed on most of these versions. So don't pick fights unless you need to, is my advice. Oh. Why do it like that? I don't understand why these... Couldn't they code stairs? Couldn't they code some better way to go between the levels than kind of magically teleporting up and down through holes in the ceiling and floor? Holes which really... Oh, you see, there you go. That's what happens. You're about to take the baddies on and you press a button and what happens when you go back is the baddies change. On the C64 it doesn't always seem to remember what was going on, whereas on most of the other versions it does actually remember what was on the screen last time you were there. Oh, no, I wanted to go up. I wanted to go up. And another baddie's materialised there. But I've beaten the baddie on this screen, so that's a little bit frustrating. He's waving his stick at me, I'm waving my stick at him. And I've thrown things at him. Would this game be considered problematic these days due to knife play? Because I know the BBFC, in terms of movies, now get really sensitive about 1980s films where knives are used. And the classifications get changed around a little bit. On the PC. Yeah, it's not particularly good. It's okay. It's just the PC doesn't really lend itself to this kind of game, and the colours don't help. If you had a black and white screen, it'd probably be better. Game over. Doesn't have the fluidity. Back on the ST. 4 idols, looking around, trying to find more. There's the 5th. Pick it up, get an energy boost. And some points. Game doesn't have a high score table, but hey. Yeah, there you go. There's the door that Shakin' Stevens lives behind. Quite a delay between screens on the ST as well. It's not loading from disk. It just displays these screens for, 5 seconds? Before, possibly more. Feels like more. Before it does any more. So I've got 5 and I need 6. Gets harder up here now. Evil ninja. So I must be good ninja. And on the ST they are actually coded in red. Oh no, it's game over. Oh. Didn't get that sick idol. On the Amiga. Same screens. 3 baddies. and the evil ninjas on the Amiga have beards. Just trying to pick up objects there, see if they've dropped anything, and the sprites are covering over things. This should be the last thing I need to pick up. That idol behind there, that vase. Right, all I've got to do is beat these guys. That guy's got his head down like Kendo Nagasaki at the end there. So let's... Oh, my energy's going down. Right, oh no. Yeah! Oh. Well, that's a no-score draw. I think that would have been the game completed if I picked that vase up. Ninja didn't get particularly good ratings, especially from the Commodore press back at the time. But you know what? I've quite enjoyed playing this, and I wish that I'd got my Amstrad version working back in 1986. It's not the biggest game in the world. I think you could complete it in a few goes, but actually, it's quite fun. It's a shame the instructions are rather lacking. Atari version is, for my money, the best 8-bit version. It's the original. C64 version is also quite good, but this game also remains very playable on the Spectrum and the Amstrad as well. I have a few qualms about proximity of the combat on the Amstrad. PC version is a result of Mastertronic trying to branch into that market to sell mainly in the USA. It's not as good as the other version. It just feels a little bit jerky, not quite as fluid, and of course CGI graphics are as ugly as sin. But this is a better port than some of Mastertronic's other games such as Feud. The Amiga and ST versions, that's a cracking soundtrack on the ST, really fantastic. I suspect that is David Whittaker's handiwork, and it's one of his best tunes. And on the Amiga as well, it's a very polished game. It's not a big game for a 16-bit game, but you're going to get quite a bit of fun out of it for a limited time. Suggest you check it out.